I attended an engagement banquet with a friend, only to discover that the bride-to-be was someone I knew all too well. It was my girlfriend of 5 years, Vivian, but I wasn't the groom. I watched as she shyly said I do, allowing him to slip the engagement ring on her finger, and then they shared a sweet kiss. My heart was brutally torn apart, my chest tight with pain. I wanted to rush up and confront her, but it was unnecessary. Now, I wished them happiness. The next day, I saw Vivian again. She was waiting by the door, luggage in tow, signaling to me with her eyes, but I stayed indifferent. She was waiting for me to change her shoes for her, something I'd always done whenever she got home and I was around. Seeing that I wasn't even looking at her, she called out loudly, "Michael, change my shoes." "Do it yourself," I said coldly. Perhaps feeling guilty, she quietly changed her own shoes, then placed her suitcase next to me. "Michael, I'm hungry. Make me some noodles," she ordered. "Order takeout yourself." "I'm busy," I replied, looking at my phone and ignoring her. In the past, I would have had everything prepared, a hot meal waiting for her without her having to ask. She leaned in to see my phone screen, and from the corner of my eye, I saw her restrain a flash of anger, then soften her tone. "After you finish that game, organize my suitcase for me." I was a little surprised. In the past, if she saw me playing a game, she would have grabbed my phone, possibly getting upset for days until I coaxed her out of it. Now, she was letting me finish, maybe because she was feeling guilty. Vivian took some bread from the fridge, which was unusual. She never ate plain bread before. Seeing the suitcase in front of me, I started to organize it. As I sorted her belongings, I suddenly felt something wet and sticky on my hand. I looked down at the red, transparent nightgown covered in an unidentifiable liquid and froze. She noticed my lack of movement and quickly came over to snatch the nightgown from me. Flustered as she explained, "Michael, don't misunderstand. I accidentally spilled skincare on it last night and didn't notice." "All right, take it to the laundry then," I replied calmly. She forced a smile. "Okay then." As if she remembered something, she added, "I'll pack my suitcase myself later. Just leave it." She was probably afraid I'd see something else, but I'd already seen a box of open condoms. I thought I wouldn't feel any more pain, but the sight stabbed me with sharp, unrelenting agony. When she returned, she held a gift box like a prized offering. "Michael, I picked this out especially for you on my business trip. Take a look and see if you like it." Her so-called business trip was actually her engagement trip. I opened the familiar box to find an intricately crafted pair of cufflinks. Indeed, a tasteful gift, but I had received the same pair at the engagement party yesterday, a gift prepared for all the male guests. "Thanks," I said flatly. Seeing my indifferent reaction, her face fell slightly, but she didn't lash out. As soon as she turned away, I tossed the cufflinks into the trash. I changed clothes, grabbed my phone, and was about to leave when she stopped me at the door. "Why aren't you staying home with me on your day off?" "Got something to do," I said, ignoring her darkening expression as I walked out. I had plans to go fishing with my friend Emma, something I hadn't done in ages because of Vivian. She hated that I had this hobby, saying the fishy smell was revolting, so I had stopped going altogether. When I met up with Emma, she teased, "The sun must have risen in the west today. You actually invited me fishing. Aren't you afraid of pissing Vivian off?" "Not anymore. She doesn't have a say in it," I said flatly. Hearing this, she stopped joking and asked, "What happened with you two?" I paused and eventually told Emma the whole story. 5 years of love. Are you really ready to let go?" she asked. Betrayal only happens once, or over and over. If she can't even give me basic honesty, then there's no reason to continue, I said. Bitterly, "I'll support whatever decision you make. Call me if you need anything," Emma said sincerely. I was deeply moved. Because of Vivian, I'd gradually grown distant from my old friends. She thought my friends lacked ambition and that I'd end up the same if I stayed around them. But Emma didn't hold that against me and remained as supportive as ever. After fishing, we grabbed a meal and I returned home around midnight, surprised to find Vivian still awake. "You went fishing, didn't you?" I said. "I hate it when you go fishing. It's disgusting," she scolded, her face full of disgust. "I enjoy it, and that's enough," I said calmly. "No wonder you're going nowhere in life. No ambition, letting those losers drag you down," she sneered. "Say what you want about me, but don't insult my friends," I said, my face darkening. Seeing that I was angry, she backed off slightly and then brought up the cufflinks. "Why did you throw away the gift I so thoughtfully chose for you?" "I didn't like it. You didn't used to be like this. You used to love anything I gave you," she said, her voice tinged with grievance. Yes, in the past, no matter what she gave me, I treasured it. Even a leaf she picked up casually, I'd turn into a bookmark to keep. Now I'd thrown it in the trash. Of course, she'd be furious. Ignoring her, I turned and went to shower, only to hear a loud crash behind me. She was angry. Whenever she got angry, she'd throw things around, leaving me to clean up the mess and try to calm her down. After my shower, I went straight to sleep in the guest room. Whenever she was mad, the master bedroom was off limits to me, but but I didn't mind at all. The next morning, she had already left by the time I got up. After breakfast, I headed straight to work. When I got back from work, I saw Vivian sitting on the sofa, grinning to herself, oblivious to my arrival. I glanced at her phone, catching a glimpse of celebratory photos. It was from the engagement party. Her face suddenly changed, and she zoomed in on the pictures, inspecting them closely. I saw me in one of them. "What's wrong?" I asked, deliberately. With a loud bang, she threw her phone aside. "Oh, Michael, you're back," she said stiffly. I picked up her phone, already understanding. "Michael, don't get the wrong idea. The engagement party was just for show. Jason asked me to help out with his parents, but it wasn't real. Just friends who grew up together," Vivian explained anxiously. "Oh, I thought ... I said coldly. "Even if the engagement was staged, what about the kiss? He's been really good to me, and I couldn't refuse a small favor like that. You're a loyal friend. You should understand, right?" she said cautiously. I understand. Friends should help each other out," I replied calmly. She looked shocked, clearly not expecting that answer. Moving closer, she asked in surprise, "Are you really not upset?" "No, I'm not," I said. Hearing this, she exhaled a deep breath, smiling. "I knew you'd understand me." Then she leaned in to kiss me, but I avoided it. She looked confused but said nothing, reaching out to start unbuttoning my shirt. "Don't." I stopped her. "I'm tired." She looked puzzled. Before, I'd have been all too eager. "You're mad, aren't you? You're jealous," she said confidently. "I'm not. I'm just tired and haven't even showered." "Well then, I'll go shower," she said, visibly relieved by my answer. After she finished showering, she received a call, her face lighting up with a shyness that was painfully glaring. Of course, after hanging up, she said she had to go out for a bit. I didn't bother to ask where or who she'd be with, nor did I anxiously wait for her return. She stayed out all night, but I had one of the best night's sleep in a long time. The next day, I went to work and submitted my resignation. That night, I had a business dinner, and when I left, I spotted someone unmistakable in the distance. Vivian was there, laughing happily. It looked like she was with her future in-laws and her future husband. As I walked closer, I heard them cheerfully discussing the wedding and planning for children. Vivian shyly agreed, but when she noticed me, her smile froze, and she frantically tried to signal me with her eyes. I granted her wish and pretended not to know her. After sending off my client, I was about to leave when I received a message from her asking me to wait for her around the corner, out of sight. It was ironic. I, the official boyfriend, had become the secret she had to hide. I waited for 3 hours, but she never came. I couldn't reach her by phone either. Returning to the hotel, I was informed that they had left long ago. I felt like a complete joke. Back home, I saw a friend request from an unfamiliar person. When I opened the profile picture, it was none other than the groom from the engagement party. Driven by curiosity, I accepted. The moment I did, he sent me a series of intimate photos of them, taunting, "Vivian is mine." Looking at the photos, I couldn't help but feel a deep ache. My fingers moved on their own, clicking into his social media, where I saw photo after photo of them together. My heart was stabbed. The timestamps caught my attention. After thinking back, I realized that all the dates matched her supposed business trips. So, her business trips were actually to spend time with Jason. How laughable that I'd never suspected her, placing complete trust in her. One of the photos even showed them on a fishing trip together, though she'd always told me she hated the smell of fish. I now saw it was only me she'd hated it with. Staring at each photo, each timestamp, I realized it had been going on for 2 years. My heart ached relentlessly. I'd wondered before about her frequent trips, but she always reassured me it was for work, telling me not to be paranoid. She even forbade me from touching her phone, accusing me of not loving or trusting her if I did. I'd never touched it again, giving her my full trust. I fell asleep in a haze of painful memories. When I woke up, she was back. Surprisingly, in the kitchen. Seeing me awake, she cheerfully said, "Michael, come sit down and eat. I made your favorite dishes." I never knew she could cook. She'd always claimed to hate the smell of cooking, and I never let her into the kitchen, let alone cook for me. But the previous night's social media posts came to mind. Dish after beautiful dish, each one prepared by her own hands. It seemed I wasn't worth the effort. "What are you thinking? Hurry up and eat," she said, noticing me spacing out. The food looked tempting, but I'd lost my appetite. "Try this shrimp. See if it's good." "It's your favorite," she said, placing a shrimp on my plate, "but I'm allergic to shrimp." Seeing my silence, she took the initiative to bring up yesterday's events. "Michael, please don't misunderstand about last night. His parents were in town and asked us to have dinner together. I had to go along with Jason to keep up appearances." "I understand," I said calmly. "You didn't actually wait for me last night, did you?" she asked tentatively. "Yes," I replied briefly. "I'm sorry, Michael, I forgot to tell you. Since his parents were there, I had no choice but to stay." "I'm really sorry," she said, sounding remorseful. "It's fine," I said, forgiving her generously. "You're really not upset?" she asked, checking again. "No, I'm not. If it's all for show, when do you plan to tell his parents the truth?" I couldn't help but ask. "Well, it's not going to be that soon," she mumbled, sounding hesitant. "Don't worry, we'll definitely clear things up as soon as there's an appropriate chance," she promised confidently. "Oh, and since his parents will be around for a while, I might need to keep spending time with them. If you see me out with them, could you pretend not to know me?" She looked at me with hopeful eyes. I agreed outwardly, but my heart sank. True to her words. I didn't see her for the next few days, nor did I receive a single message from her. With my job responsibilities almost fully handed over, I felt a pang of hesitation as I looked around, at the familiar people, familiar places, and our familiar home. Then reality hit me hard. Jason sent me an electronic invitation. Shaking hands, I opened it, feeling my heart shatter. It was a wedding invitation for Jason and Vivian, set for 2 months from now, complete with their wedding photos. They looked blissfully happy, just like a couple truly in love. If it was all an act, why did it need to look so real? I realized I'd only been fooling myself. I knew it was time to let go. After finishing the final handover, I packed up my things, removing any trace of myself from the home we'd built together. Before boarding my flight, I sent her a message with just 4 words. "We're breaking up." My heart felt unbearably heavy. We were never meant to be. I went to the Northwest to meet my friend Emma. He had been planning a project for a while with the team, and with plans all set, he'd asked me to join before, but I'd refused for her sake. She couldn't accept a long relationship, so I'd stayed. Hearing about my breakup, Emma invited me again, and this time I agreed without hesitation. There was nothing left in that city for me. Looking at the landscape, so different from the South, I felt a mix of strangeness and excitement. Emma had arranged everything for me. With him and his team around, I gradually felt like I belonged. Then, a few days later, Vivian finally contacted me. Just as I looked at her message, her call came through. "Michael, where did you go? Why did you suddenly say you wanted to break up?" she said with a hint of complaint in her voice. "What's gotten into you? I told you I'd be gone for a few days. You're not really breaking up over this, are you?" Before I could respond, she kept talking as if she had my thoughts all figured out. "Breaking up is a decision I made after careful thought. I'm not acting out," I said calmly. "If you're not acting out, then why would you suddenly want to break up?" she asked, puzzled. "Oh, I get it. You're just trying to get my attention. Playing hard to get," she said, self-assured. "Think whatever you want." I felt speechless. Had I not seen her arrogance before? "See, I knew it. Stop messing around and come back. I've put all your stuff back where it was," she ordered. "I'm not coming back. We've broken up." Hearing me repeat those words, her breathing became heavier, and her tone lost its casualness. "Are you serious?" she asked. "Seriously?" "Yes," I replied firmly. "No, I don't accept it. You're definitely just upset that I spent a few days with Jason. You're jealous. Where are you? I'll come to you," she said, insisting on her own narrative. Need for that. I ended the call. It was the first time I'd ever hung up on her. Before, I'd never hung up first because she'd insisted on that. She often hung up on me before I could finish speaking. It felt surprisingly satisfying to be the one to end the call this time. After a couple of days of rest, I began to settle into my new job. We were in the same field, so the work was relatively easy to pick up. To stay close to Vivian, I'd given up a high-paying job in my original field and taken one in an unfamiliar area. I never expected her to belittle me, saying my salary was low, that I lacked ambition. Silently, I'd taken on other part-time jobs online to earn a bit more. I paid for all the household expenses and covered all her personal spending, yet she took my money and spent it with another man. Looking back, I realized how foolish I was. I quickly cleared my thoughts and started to get familiar with my new job and colleagues. In a job you love, energy is limitless, and I quickly got the hang of the work. Vivian often sent me messages, her tone shifting from being firm at first to more lenient, then turning to anger. I didn't respond to her messages after reading them. I deleted tens of thousands of chat records, 80% of which were messages I had sent. Even though she never replied, I still kept sending them until she told me it annoyed her. And that's when I slowly started to reduce them. I thought maybe she didn't like chatting, but in Jason's WeChat moments, there were screenshots of their chats, and her responses were always instant, with every message having a reply. She just didn't want to reply to me. We used to be so loving. Why has everything changed? It was no use to keep wondering. I unpinned her chat, deleted her, and blocked her all at once. Just as I was about to block her number, my phone rang. It was Vivian calling. Without hesitation, I hung up, but she didn't give up and kept calling. When the call was about to automatically end, I picked it up. "Michael, you finally answered the phone. Didn't you see my messages?" she asked, puzzled that I saw them. I replied coldly. "Then why didn't you reply? You even blocked me. Why are you being so heartless?" she said, sounding aggrieved. Heartbroken, she used to block and delete me without warning, disappear for days. And I'd frantically search for her, eventually getting stomach problems. When I found her, she'd just brush it off, saying it was all a joke. Since we've broken up, let's cut ties completely, I said slowly. I don't want that. I don't agree to the breakup. How could you be so heartless? You love me so much. How could you leave me? She said, panic and fear creeping into her voice. You said you would always pamper me, stay with me forever. Small things I could tolerate, but there's a limit. They're getting married, and if I keep chasing after her, wouldn't I just be the other woman? I said, I would as long as your heart was with me. Dad, I've always loved you. You're in my heart. Are you still jealous of Jason? Are you bothered by our relationship? If you want, I'll tell them the engagement was all a show. I've cut off contact with him, she said, with determination. That's your business. I don't care, and I don't want to care, I said calmly. No, you have to care. How can you not care? She said, more anxious. Before, I'd ask her everything, where she was, who she was with. But she'd say I was controlling, and that a man should be more generous and give her freedom. Now that I gave her freedom, she wanted me to control her again. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up, I said, not wanting to listen anymore. Jail, don't hang up. Tell me where you are. I'll come find you. I don't want to break up, she pleaded. Ed, no need. I wish you and Jason happiness, I said, then hung up. Hearing her voice again, I was able to control my emotions. I looked at her number, which I knew by heart, and blocked it. Tomorrow, I would get a new number. I got a new card, officially saying goodbye to the past. I gradually settled into my new city, my new job, and everything was heading in a positive direction. Then, I suddenly received a message from Jason. I realized I had almost forgotten about him. He questioned me, asking if I was the one causing trouble, making Vivian want to tell the truth about their engagement being fake and cutting off contact. With him, I chuckled at all the secret contact they had kept from me, and now they were really cutting it off. But I didn't need it anymore. He asked where I was, saying Vivian had stopped caring about her work and him and was looking for me everywhere. Could she really still care about me? Seeing I didn't respond, Jason called me. I decided to listen to what he had to say. Michael, if you really want to break up, I'd admire you, but I'm afraid you're just playing hard to get. You're trying to make Vivian afraid of losing you so she'll cherish you more, he said smugly. Too bad with me around. Your wish won't come true. Vivian is mine, he added, asserting his claim. I wish you both happiness and an early congratulations on your marriage, I said calmly. You really want to break up? He asked, shocked. Yes, and please don't disturb me anymore, I said, then hung up and blocked him. Without these annoying distractions, I threw myself fully into my work. Half a month later, I suddenly saw a familiar figure and thought I must be hallucinating from working too hard. Michael, I finally found you, Vivian said, her face filled with excitement as she ran toward me. I was shocked that she had really gone to such lengths to find me. What do you want? I asked bluntly. Michael, how could you be so heartless and leave me? I realized I can't live without you. I don't want to break up. I've gotten so used to your presence, to you handling everything for me. Without you, I really don't know how to live, she said, looking devastated. So now she finally believed. I was serious about breaking up. You're about to get married, so why bother disturbing me? I've already let you go, and now you're still tangled up in this mess, I said, feeling annoyed. Michael, it's not like that. I've already made things clear with Jason. Our engagement was fake, and I've told his parents too. We're really just friends. Don't misunderstand, she hurriedly explained to me. It doesn't matter anymore. It's all in the past, I said. It's not in the past for me. I don't want it to be over. We still have a future together. If you don't believe me, ask Jason if he's been clear with you, she said, pulling Jason over to us. Jason, explain quickly, she urged him. What's there to explain? Vivian and I are childhood sweethearts. Our relationship is something, double quotes, you can't compare to. I like Vivian. I want to marry her. My parents are very happy with her. You're not worthy of her if you break up with her. At least you'll have some sense, Jason said arrogantly. Jason, what are you talking about? Vivian said, flustered. I'm saying the truth. He's the one who interfered in our relationship. Now that he's leaving, at least he's showing some sense. There's nothing to fight for, Jason said, slapping Vivian. Vivian directly slapped Jason across the face. 5 clear fingerprints appeared on his face, showing how hard the slap was. You actually slapped me for him, Jason said, looking hurt and utterly shocked. He then quickly ran towards the street. Vivian looked at me, then turned, without hesitation, and ran after him. I didn't miss the smug look Jason gave me as he left, as if he knew exactly what choice she would make. Although I had already given up, why did my chest still ache? Bothered by them, I lost focus, so I decided to relax and invited Emma and the others to go fishing. To my surprise, I ran into them there. This must be some kind of fate. When I saw them, I was about to ask Emma and the others to move to another place, but Vivian spotted me first. Michael, you're here to fish too, this morning. Don't misunderstand. I was just worried about Jason and followed him because he tends to act impulsively. I was afraid he would do something foolish, she said, holding my hand and explaining anxiously. It's fine, you don't need to explain, I said, slowly pulling my hand from hers. Michael, can we talk properly? I really don't want things to end like this, she begged. I've said everything I needed to say. There's nothing more to talk about, I replied calmly. No, you must still love me. How could you bear to leave me? She said in pain. You're about to get married, so why come here to trouble me? I asked, confused. Michael, don't misunderstand. Everything has been cleared up with his parents. The engagement was fake, and the marriage was fake. We're really just friends. We've never had anything more. She tried to justify, still calling themselves just friends. They were so close it was hard to believe they weren't a couple. No need to explain anymore. I already know the truth, I said, my face showing indifference. Michael, please give me one more chance. I'll do whatever you ask. I'll make sure to distance myself from other guys. Can we go back to how we were before? She looked at me with hope in her eyes. It's too late, I said, but before I could finish, I felt a strong blow and then I fell into the lake. Before I could react, Jason fell in too. Everyone was shocked by the sudden turn of events. Emma was the first to react, telling the others, who could swim to help? Michael, Jason, hold on, Vivian screamed. Then she seemed to remember something and grabbed their hands, shouting, save Jason first. He can't swim, but Michael can. Hearing that, my already dead heart seemed to ache. Again, as if it had been stabbed with 1,000 needles. I can't swim either. I have a phobia of water, and she knows that. As she unconsciously chose Jason just as I was about to sink further, Emma managed to pull me out. I gasped for air, feeling a sharp pain in my chest as if I had suddenly been exposed to air. Jason had been pulled out before me, but he hadn't woken up yet. Vivian, seeing that I was fine, immediately turned and went to Jason, driving him to the hospital. He fell in after me, but he was pulled out first. I clearly remember that he could swim, and my heart turned colder. I rested for a while and gradually recovered. Smiling at Emma and the others, I said, let's keep playing. Don't let me ruin the fun. Sorry about this. Today's expenses are on me. I want everyone to have a good time. We're all friends. No need to be so polite. You're also a victim. As long as you're okay, they all responded in unison. With this group of friends, the coldness in my heart was gradually dispelled. We moved to a new fishing spot, and without their interference, we managed to enjoy ourselves. We didn't get home until late. Even though I was exhausted, I couldn't sleep as my mind was filled with memories of Vivian. I first met her during a debate competition. Her eloquence deeply attracted me. Even though we were opponents, I was amazed by her knowledge. We were both engineering students, so we couldn't compete with them in language skills. I accepted my loss and added her on WeChat after the competition. At first, she wasn't very enthusiastic and was rather cold, hardly replying to my messages. But then, by chance, we met again, and I formally introduced myself, hoping to be friends. The more I got to know her, the more she surprised me. She was incredibly talented, ranking at the top of our school, and had won a national scholarship. My admiration for her grew with each passing day. She gradually stopped being so distant with me. When the right moment came, I confessed my feelings. I didn't expect her to turn me down, but I didn't give up. My sincerity finally moved her, and we officially got together. Once we were a couple, we went to classes together, studied in the library, prepared for exams, and took graduation photos together. After graduation, we stayed in the same city to work and support each other. I never knew she had a childhood sweetheart. I can't remember exactly when things started to change. When she began to act differently, becoming increasingly critical and impatient with me. Maybe it was just that her love was gradually shifting away. This morning, I saw a tear stain on my pillowcase, and I thought to myself, this is probably the last tear I'll shed for her. At work, I was surprised to see the two of them together again. Michael, are you okay? Are you still feeling unwell? Anywhere? She asked, looking concerned. This delayed concern was too little, too late. I'm fine, I said. That's good to hear, she replied, relieved. Michael, let's not break up. I brought my household registration book with me this time. Let's go get married, she said sincerely. Vivian, what are you talking about? You're actually going to marry him. I'm Jason, said in disbelief. Talking about marriage now is too late. I'd brought it up many times before, asking her when we would get married, but she always deflected, saying she didn't want to get married, so I followed her wishes and didn't push it. I didn't expect her to bring it up now. Yes, I want to marry Michael, Jason said. Out of our business, she said sternly to Jason. I didn't know what had happened between them to make Vivian's attitude change so quickly. Michael, let's find a time to get our marriage certificate. I want to be with you and live a good life together, she said, looking hopeful. I refuse, we're already over. I don't love you anymore, I replied coldly. No, you don't mean that. I know you. Your heart is full of me. You couldn't possibly not love me. You must be lying to me, she said, looking devastated. I truly don't love you anymore. We're over, and there's no going back. I hope you two have a good life together, I reiterated. No, I don't believe it. This can't be real, she cried out. In the past, I couldn't bear to see her shed a single tear. Seeing her cry like this, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to resist. But reason won out. Ignoring the two of them, I walked past them and into the office, and the security guard stopped them at the entrance. Setting aside all the unnecessary drama, I focused solely on work. Since that day, I haven't seen Vivian or Jason around. I guess they've already left. One day, while conducting market research, I stepped out with a female colleague. Suddenly, someone rushed out with a fruit knife in hand. I couldn't dodge in time and was stabbed in the arm. The security guard saw what happened and quickly came out to subdue the attacker. It was Jason. Michael, you ruined my life. Because of you, Vivian has completely broken things off with me. It must be your doing. If you can't have her, you won't let anyone else have her. You're nothing but a villain. He shouted in anger, and only then did I understand the reason behind his hatred toward me. At that moment, Vivian came running over, panting. Seeing that I was injured, tears immediately filled her eyes. Michael, you're hurt. Let me take you to the hospital, she said, her voice full of concern. Your issues with each other have nothing to do with me anymore. We're done, I said angrily. I turned to Jason and said, let me say this one more time. Stop causing trouble for me. I have nothing to do with Vivian anymore. Whatever happens, between you two is your own business. I took out my phone to call the police, expecting Vivian to try to stop me, but she just looked away without saying anything. Vivian, are you really just going to stand there and let him call the police on me? Jason questioned her. You did something wrong, and you have to face the consequences, Vivian said. It was the first time I'd seen her treat Jason this way. Hearing that, Jason looked deeply hurt and stopped resisting. The police arrived soon after, and after understanding the situation, they took Jason away. Because of her close connection to Jason, I was brought in for questioning while I went to the hospital for treatment and then to the police station to give a statement. Luckily, the wound was shallow and not too serious. After getting treated, I went to the police station and explained everything. When I finished, Vivian came running after me as I left. Michael, can I have a moment? She asked humbly. Go ahead, I said, stopping to hear her out. Do you really not love me anymore? Is there really no way back for us? She asked carefully. I don't love you anymore. There's no going back, I replied calmly. Her eyes filled with tears, but she still stubbornly asked, then, who is she? I looked at my colleague beside me and answered truthfully. She's my colleague, and you too, she asked, unwilling to give up. We're just colleagues. My feelings for you have completely faded. Let it go, and I hope you find happiness soon, I said, trying to comfort her. All right, I wish you happiness too, she said with a choked voice. Then she turned and left, and in that moment, I knew she had truly let go. I locked all the photos of her on my phone. I didn't delete them because, after all, they're part of my life experience. As long as my heart has moved on, those memories are just a part of my past. The project was gradually reaching a critical stage, and everyone was putting in extra hours. Because of my passion for the work, I didn't feel tired. The interests I had set aside while I was with Vivian began to resurface, and I was learning to live in a way that felt comfortable for me. 2 months later, the project finally neared completion, and we could all relax a bit. The company organized an autumn outing for everyone. The whole team was enthusiastic, and the atmosphere here was far better than my last workplace. Without so much backstabbing and scheming, then, out of the blue, that female colleague sent me a surprising message. She confessed her feelings to me after she accompanied me to the hospital. Last time, I'd been especially considerate of her as a way of thanking her. I guess that's why she developed feelings for me. But right now, I wasn't ready to start a new relationship. It wouldn't be fair to her, so I turned her down. She understood, and after clearing the air, we continued to get along as before. Emma suddenly came up to me, looking mysterious, clearly excited to share some gossip. To my surprise, it was about Vivian and Jason. I heard Vivian is pregnant. Originally, she had cut off contact with Jason. He kept pestering her, but she ignored him until one day she suddenly fainted. They took her to the hospital and found out she was pregnant. And guess what? Emma paused for effect. I gestured for her to continue. Vivian wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but both families got involved and persuaded her otherwise. Now they're planning to get married next month. That's good, I said. Hearing news about her stirred nothing in me. I realized I had truly let go. Whatever happens with them is no longer my concern. We've become parallel lines with no intersections left. During the break, I traveled to various places, saw new things, and gave myself fresh experiences. Eventually, my travels were no longer solo as I agreed to give things a chance with a female colleague. Even though my last relationship didn't work out, each person and every experience is different. A year later, she and I got married. Being with someone on the same wavelength brings true happiness. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm grateful I took that brave step forward.